Got a special guest today. His name is Chad Webb. He is the founder of, let's look at his card real quick. It's called, say it, Chad.
Bernhard Terrace.
Bernhard Terrace. Where'd this name come from?
That is actually both of my grandmother's maiden names.
Really?
So to honor two sweet, lived to be in their 90s, badass women, I figured let's name the company after them.
That's badass. You gotta like that. An American beverage company. So tell me about this. It's called Day to Day Light. It's a beer that my buddy Ron. What's up, buddy?
Not much. I do have to say, I did try it. I did pass the taste test, and Chad, you were right. We're crushing it after hockey, so it's good stuff.
So Ron has been one of my really close friends. He's really close friends of the family. Hockey player, hunter, philanthropist. Just a very, very
if I can't spell it, I'm not it. So
he's an amazing guy. A professional drinker, I would say.
Yes.
Whiskeys, vodkas, and beer. Myself personally, I'm not a huge beer guy. I have Old Mecklenburg Hoppers, a couple Coronas here and there. I am a rookie. Like when somebody hands me a beer, I'm like, it better be cold.
Then you will like this.
Oh, I do. I tried it. Ron threw me one on Sunday, and when he threw it to me, it was very unique because he kind of tossed it to me. When I opened it, it did splash all over my face, which I smell like beer all day.
Beer does when you shake it.
Yeah. See, vodka and tequila do not, or whiskey do that. Yes. So, but anyway.
Drink 16 ounces of that and see if you can walk straight, though.
Anyway, so Ron, here, have a beer, my friend.
I'm on the clock, dude.
Dude, it's 6 o'clock at night. I don't know what
true.
you're talking
You're
about.
Right. You're right.
That was earlier today.
That's true.
On a Saturday.
On a Saturday.
Well, I tell you what, with this though, Chad, I love the story that, and Mike, I wanted to get you on this podcast because I've seen since I first met you at Jimmy's restaurant.
Cheers, my brother.
Cheers.
At Jimmy's restaurant saying, hey, I do 10. Do you mind if I stop by and give you a quote?
Was it Jimmy's?
Jimmy's restaurant.
That's
man.
crazy.
Years ago, you were there with your dad.
That was 20.
At least.
No. It was 18 years.
18.
17, 18 years ago because Colby's 18.
Yep.
He's almost 19.
True.
But anyway, we're talking to Chad, the founder of Day to Day Light. Where did Day to Day Light come from?
So I'll take a step back.
Okay.
The company is a beverage company.
Okay.
And so this is just the first offering. So my first brand is called Day to Day. And when I decided what I wanted to kind of lead with, you're not a company until you can build one brand. So there's other stuff down the line, but Day to Day Light is the first brand that I'm launching under the umbrella of Bernhard Terrace. So been in the industry my entire life.
Industry. When you say industry, explain industry.
Alcohol industry,
You've been in the alcohol
mainly
industry.
beer,
beer. And you worked for Budweiser.
So yes, I started in the 90s with Anheuser-Busch, was with them for years, and then I jumped over to the middle tier, which is the distributor network.
Okay.
And worked in several different locations, one here in Charlotte, one in Greenville, South Carolina. And then I actually went and worked within the craft world, running a brewery as COO. And then I've been consulting for a long time. And my wife was like, stop talking about it. Just do it. Just do it.
Yeah.
And so we started putting some things together about 15 months ago and launched, I think this is week 7, that we've launched the first brand, and we're just getting it stood up, and it's been a blast. It's been a great.
You having fun?
Yeah, man. I mean,
how old are you?
I'm 51.
51.
Yeah. So I'm doing what I did 30 plus years ago.
Man, I just hit 50, bro.
Yeah.
Just hit 50. So you welcome me to the club.
50's the new 30, right?
No shit. You look good.
Hey, man.
You got all your hair. Ron, you're what?
It's
55?
white, though.
56.
You're 56?
56.
You still look good, too, bro.
It's all that clean living, brother.
It's all that hockey.
Dude, this kid, and I say kid because I go out to our farm, I call it the farm. It's this land that we hunt and ride four-wheelers and stuff. And Ron is the gatekeeper. He's like the guru of the deer god out there. And he can run a chainsaw and weed eater for hours, okay?
Wow.
Just beast. It's all the hockey playing. So you guys met playing hockey, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha. And he turned me on to this beer and said, man, I got this great guy, Chad, you need to meet and get on this podcast. So you worked for Anheuser-Busch, and what was your role for those guys, and how many years?
I was actually, so it was an interesting beginning. So basically got out of college, moved here to Charlotte, was briefly working, a friend of a friend kind of introduced me to this guy that was hiring for the marketing department for Anheuser-Busch, and So I was like, yeah, roll the dice. But that's back when the Bush family still owned the business.
Okay.
And August Bush the fourth, who is now the son, he's probably he's a little older than us. He's probably mid to late 50s.
And this is the fourth, the son.
The August Bush the fourth. So the third was the one running. He was the CEO. He's the one that took like Anheuser-Busch from like a 35 share to a 50 share. And then he kind of, and at that point, his son was running the Budweiser brand team. The Budweiser brand, they used to cut up, and they still do. They cut all their brands. They're so big that brand team for Budweiser, that's an entire company basically themselves. Brand team for Bud Light, totally different group. So Michelob family, it's all these things are all chopped up. At least it was back when Anheuser-Busch owned it. And the son was he's like, listen, we got to take Budweiser. We got to get that back, because he was, that was still when Budweiser was still peaking out back in the 90s, and it was starting to decline a little bit. So they decided to throw a bunch of money at it. And I just happened to be a lucky person that got pulled into this marketing role where we got to go to all the coolest events all over the country, Super Bowls, World Series, and stuff like that. And we would just go out there and just market the crap out of these places. I mean, when we were down in New Orleans in the late 90s, we were putting signs up on all this, the rails and stuff like that. I think it was the Packers Patriots game that I was down there for. There was like 30 of us, and we just took over
Blanketed.
The whole city was Budweiser.
Guerrilla marketing.
And it was before anybody else even did that. The only group that was doing a little bit of promoting like that was Coke. So it wasn't even in beer. And then right after that, it just the whole industry started to take over, where they started hiring all these marketing people and stuff like that. So as I evolved, I moved up a little bit with Anheuser-Busch, and then I decided that, hey, I wanted to jump over to that middle tier. There's a bunch of laws within alcohol that have different tiers. And so I jumped from the corporate Anheuser-Busch over to the middle tier here in Charlotte.
What's a middle tier?
Basically, it's a distributorship that has exclusive rights to whatever brands that they pick up. So at the time, we were called Beeler Wholesale here.
I know them.
Yeah.
That's okay. What brands did you guys carry there?
That was back in the day when we basically were just carrying the big ones, Bud Light. It was another big one back then was Michelob Light.
Oh, yeah.
One of the things that is helping me with day-to-day getting this launched is that I was actually part of the whole system that created Michelob Ultra and then launched it. And now Michelob Ultra is the third largest beer brand in the country.
I've had Michelob Ultra.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool because Michelob Light kind of got replaced by Michelob Ultra. But then you have the Natural family, and then you have Bush family, and you have all these things. And then since then, there's been a lot of acquisitions. And
So
stuff
is
like
Anheuser-Busch still the largest?
Yeah, 1 out of every 4 beers in the world they own. So,
Really?
Yeah.
That's incredible. Who owns them now? Like, who bought them?
It's it was a Brazilian, some Brazilian bankers, really smart guys, bought the Belgian company, InBev, who then bought the American company, Anheuser-Busch, who then bought the rest of the Mexican company, Grupo Modelo, which is Corona and all
Modelo,
that.
yeah.
Modelo, and then they bought Miller Coors. And then so they're just continually just expanding their reach, but I think they did that more for a global reach.
Sure.
So then they had to, antitrust reasons, they had to kind of scale them
So
off.
they
here
own
this year.
a shit ton of beer brands.
Yeah,
Right.
tons of them.
And
yeah.
where are they all manufactured?
All over the place.
Really?
Yeah, they have 12 breweries, and then they have partnerships with, I believe in Ireland, the same vats they're making Guinness, they're making Budweiser. Everyone knows each other. It's just like Ron's in the food business. Everybody knows each other. And
Sure.
I think when I was at Anheuser-Busch, I think our largest customer wasn't, Walmart or Buffalo Wild Wing. It was Miller Coors, because we sold them they bought all of our grains and stuff that we used from the best grain. And
Did you
places in
have
the world.
anything to do with the marketing department?
Yeah, that's where I was in. That's where I was, sales and marketing.
What was a budget a year for, say, one brand? I'm just curious, like on a global scale. Say if you say Bud Light or Budweiser.
You're talking back when I was there.
Yeah. Like what was a yearly budget money wise? Do you even know?
I want to say that the year that we were, I think it was probably 150 to 200 million. I think for the Bud brand team, for the Bud brand.
So anybody listening,
That's just a budget.
$200 million was budgeted on advertising just Budweiser.
Just remember though too, that was before all the internet. That was before all the. So you were
So this is
basically
90s to 2000s, right?
Yeah, early to mid 2000s.
Okay.
So like 2005. Say.
So this is 20 years ago.
Yeah, because they
25.
25 years
25
ago.
years, okay.
But you got to remember, it was TV,
Yep,
radio, print.
Gorilla.
And then Gorilla going out and doing events and
Right.
stuff like that. Yeah, nothing
That's
else.
awesome. Like concerts, events,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
We had every sponsorship to everything. The tickets and stuff that we used to.
Oh yeah, you missed those days.
No, actually, I got burned out.
Did you?
Oh, totally.
You're like, how many freaking concerts do I need to go to? How many Super Bowls do I need to go to?
Totally burned out because you're there working hard. When I say working hard, you're working hard, and then about 4 o'clock.
So you said
start drinking
earlier
beer.
that you've been to 50 countries.
Yeah.
What was your favorite?
People ask me
top
that
five.
all the time.
Top 5.
Well, my wife and I got married in Spain.
Okay.
So that's definitely a top 5.
Okay.
I think Germany's another top 5.
You like Germany?
Yeah.
Dude, I just got back from Germany.
Yeah.
Dude, there's no good food in Germany.
Wow.
He just drank the beer. I mean, that's what back then.
I'm telling
Actually,
you.
yes. You got to remember, I'm a
telling
beer
you,
guy.
Like I'm driving down the road in Stuttgart, Germany. It's halfway snowing and 50 degrees, and there are these damn.
This is last week too, right?
This is a couple weeks. Yeah, a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And
It's
so,
May.
So anyway, there is literally stoplights that are not stoplights. They're flashlights. You go from kilometers, right? It's like 70 to 30 to 90 or whatever, right? And everybody goes, "Hey man, drive the Autobahn when you get there." And I'm like, I didn't see it. Like I did a little bit. I saw like a little stretch of it, but like the Autobahn just means highway.
Right. I did. I learned my lesson though. One time I was visiting, I got it was the equivalent of like an old 1979 Ford Fiesta or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was on the Autobahn. And what they do is they're mainly 3 lanes. And I'm going, and it's like I'm trying to shake the car
you're
just to get
pushing
it going.
it.
I'm in the right lane.
Yeah.
It's like a horse and buggy's passing me and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And these cars are coming up on me
Flying.
130 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And all you see from behind is
Lights, flashing
they
lights.
flash the
Pop, pop,
lights.
pop, yep.
And then boom, they're gone. And you're like, and they shake you.
There was a
It's
small
amazing.
stretch from Munich to Stuttgart. That was a good stretch that I enjoyed some driving. We were in a Cuda, like a little Cuda car. I don't even know what the hell that. They don't sell them in the U.S. But man, I got 3 tickets in one day.
Wow.
3 speeding tickets.
And you're
In my
here?
Cuda. In my Huda. It was basically going from like
Too slow or
no, I was going too fast. And it was in the city. Like we would come right out of the city and we would go into like a little area where it would go back in the city and it would be like 70 to 30 or whatever. And it would drop like that. And then the flashing light would come and I'd be like, somebody's taking my picture. I was like, hey. And then all of a sudden I go and realize I got 3 damn speeding tickets while I was there.
The rental, they sent it to the rental car.
Yeah, they sent it to the rental car company, and then my credit card on file had to pay it.
Yeah.
I'm like, you. But
How about that too? They make you basically put your credit card down for the entire value of the car in case you wreck it. They're just going to run your credit card for the value of it.
My Amex at least has a good limit on it, so it was pretty good. I just sent a dispute in for that one. Sorry, that wasn't me. Amex, sorry, I was in the U.S.
When they send you the picture, you smiling with them behind your steering wheel. They're going to change the
So number 3, what's your best country? I'm not a huge fan. I enjoyed Munich. I enjoyed Frankfurt a little bit. I went to the Hopper House.
The Hofbrauhaus.
Hofbrau. See,
Hofbrau.
Southern people don't usually say
Hofbrau,
things correctly. We abbreviate. So I went to the Habra house.
Yeah, well, that's all right.
That's
a fun.
to say y'all at the end of it.
We all went to the.
Yeah. We were there this past year too. That's a good spot.
It was pretty cool, man. I had a pretzel that was about as big as my head. And
I had a beer that was this
yeah,
big.
but me too. I had one that was like this big. It wasn't that bad actually. They played the music. We there and they were playing the little thing. That was fun. And I walked outside and saw like the people moving around.
Glockenspiel.
Saw that.
Yes.
I love talking to
could say-
intelligent people who know all the right words.
Say clock with little people
Yeah,
dancing.
clock with little dancing people.
On the hour, they come
the
out
hour.
and there's a little 15 or 10 minute
Yeah, it was
festival
pretty
or
cool.
something like
So
that.
what's
yeah.
next? What's the next country you like? Germany, Spain.
Probably Japan.
I love Japan.
Yeah.
Just got back.
Yeah.
Got me a tattoo too, right there.
What does it mean?
It has 3 different meanings. I'll give you the first one. The first one in my world of my outside living space of window tinting, paint protection, ceramic coating, and traveling, consulting, my nickname is Mike motherfucking Burke. And that came into existence out of a meeting with one of my really close friends who everyone knew in the industry was one of the best guys in the world. And when I sat at the table, he didn't know who I was. And so I basically sat down at the table and said, "You don't know who the fuck I am?" He goes, "No." And I said, "I'm Mike motherfucking Burke." And there was executives and directors and all these people sitting at the desk, and they all looked over at me going, "Who the hell is this dude?" And I was being funny because everyone knew who he was, and he did not know who I was. And I'm like, "What do you mean you don't know who I am?"
Yeah.
And so Mike
Stuck, right?
Right. It just stuck. And now I cannot live a day. I have friends I call in New York and Connecticut, all over the world. And the very first thing when I answer the phone is, "What's up, Mike motherfucker?" It's Mike motherfucker. It's just become this thing. So that's what it says to me. And that to me is what I want it to say. But my girlfriend emailed this guy 16 times at 18-hour or whatever discrepancies or time differences in the U.S. So we would send an email. We'd have to wait 18 hours, get a reply. And then it was like days and days and days. And it's honor, respect, courage, and bravery. It's like a saying in Chinese calligraphy, but it's a Japanese meaning. So this guy was really cool at doing like a calligraphy, which I can basically tell anybody whatever I wanted to say.
That's nice about it.
What was your favorite part of Japan?
Oh man, well, I loved Tokyo,
Yep.
But I loved the history of Kyoto. That
Kyoto,
was
yeah.
that was
I was
really
there.
cool. I mean,
Yeah,
because
did
that's
you-
one place we didn't bomb, so it was actually it's been like that for thousands of years.
Yeah, it was awesome. Did you see the deer? In the Nara? Did you go to Nara?
I did.
When you saw the little deer biting you and you fed them in the little park?
No,
No, you didn't see that?
That was a long time ago.
Did you see the Ninja Museum?
did not see any ninja museum.
Where was the Ninja Museum? Ida. It was in Ida.
I'll tell you what. The one thing that was crazy about Japan is I did go to Hiroshima.
Oh yeah, we didn't make
That's
it
a
there.
picture. We went to Osaka and then we went over to Hiroshima, and it was really surreal because being living in Charlotte for so long, it's basically Charlotte in Japan.
Oh, wow.
Because we leveled it and
Yeah.
it was gone, and
Yeah.
then they rebuilt everything. But it was interesting to walk around and see some of the older folks that you could tell that were alive back when this all happened, and I kind of got a couple of little odd looks. My girlfriend at the time, who's my wife now, she's blonde hair, blue eyes. We didn't fit in very well. I could kind of blend a little bit, but we put a lot of it was cold out, so we had some hats to wear and stuff like that. But that was interesting. We went to that. We went to some museums and saw some of that stuff. But the only thing I walked away from was like they blamed us. Like wait a minute,
I didn't do it.
we did not start this. The last I checked, you hit us over there in Pearl Harbor, and you're
Unprovoked.
all this is basically blaming us.
Right.
It was horrific. It was terrible, but it was us like you weren't gonna submit.
So tell me about making a beer. Take me from the very beginning. Take me to the middle. Take me to the end. What's the process?
So the good thing about where I sit is that I have a lot of really good friends that have been in the industry for a long time who are amazing brewers. So they've taught me a lot of things. I've probably represented, whether I've sold or been friends. I'm in the hundreds with friends that have breweries and going to breweries and watching the brewing process. And to say that I'm even an expert in that, I'm not. These are mad scientists. That's the thing that am so impressed with is these guys, like the folks, Lone Rider, who's making Day to Day up in Raleigh. They're just so talented. But they have this thing down to a science. They can tell you exactly the process. I call them and say, "How we doing? How's it lagering?" That's what they call it.
Lagering.
It takes 35 days for this to turn into this delicious.
So what's
gold
different
beer.
about this beer than any other on the market today? Like, what's unique or different about yours?
Well, I'll take a step back. For years and years, I always represented very large companies. And like I said, starting right out of college, essentially, actually in college, I was working in bars. So, that exposed my entire life. I'm a huge beer drinker. Love to drink beer all over the world and stuff. And over the years, it's, as this craft evolution, there's over 10,000 breweries now here in the U.S. I mean, they're everywhere. You can obviously say that just being here in Charlotte, but it's like this everywhere, anywhere you want to go to. But there's a lot of saturation. There's a lot of choices out there. So as I'm consulting a lot of these folks, and that's what I've noticed over the years is that some of the breweries have a guy that makes really good beer, but he runs a terrible business.
Sure.
And so they do a lousy job with
Similar to
everything.
our
So,
business. Same.
but then you have people that run a good business, but they make terrible beer, and the best marriage that I've ever seen is when there's usually a person that runs the business and person that runs the back of the house, basically brewing the beer. And so over the years, just getting friends and talking to them and saying, hey, there's this category. The stats are this, and this is what's amazing. This is why I came out with a true American premium light beer. 63% of all the volume of beer consumed in the United States is essentially from 10 light beers. The other 37%, which is all those craft breweries, all those, all the regular Budweisers are 37%. So you have 10,000 people, huge breweries, the ABs of the world fighting for 37%. And then you have essentially 10 players over here in the light beer world, just kind of hanging out. And so when I would go to these folks and say, hey, why don't you come up with a true American light beer so that you can have that offering? Because a lot of times, when you go in out of breweries for years and years and years, and people say, hey, I would love to go back there, but I'm a light beer drinker, and they don't have anything that I would want to try. And they'll say, well, why don't you try Kolsch? They're like, the first thing they're like, I'm not drinking that. It's like trying to take somebody into an Indian restaurant and saying, hey, the food is all delicious, but it's like they're afraid. They don't know what things are going to taste like. So they're like, I'm not touching that. So they'd rather not do anything.
If they didn't say it was Indian, they'd eat it.
What's that?
They didn't say it was Indian.
Well,
I had the same experience with Kolsch. We go downtown Matthews, and I'm not an IPA guy. I'm sorry, I can't do it. And I like to enjoy and slug a beer, not just sip and this and that. But it's the first thing they tell you, oh, try a Kolsch. I'm like, what the heck's a Kolsch? And
so they're trying to always educate you. And so I would tell my
I
friends,
don't need it.
I'd say that. I'd say, well, why don't you just come up with a light beer? Because then, especially here in America, everybody knows what a light beer is. They've done such a good job advertising.
Sure.
And I've been a part of that for so long. Again, hundreds, if not, think about the whole budgets. All the budgets of all the beer companies are in the billions. So they've done a really good job telling people what a light beer is. No. We're craft. We don't want to be light. No, it's just telling people they can drink it. You don't have to get crazy.
So how many calories is in this one?
92.
92. What's a Mick Ultra?
Mick Ultra's, I think,
96.
I think it is 96.
I'm drawing a blank.
I think
Yeah,
it
it's
is.
96.
Yeah, so
per
you're
serving.
92.
Yeah.
So what keeps the calories down?
It's stripping the beer. Think about this. All the only thing that's in this beer is water, yeast, hops, and malt. Period.
No sugar.
No sugar. No. See, when you add the yeast, that's what actually grabs. It's an amazing process. For those 35 days, the yeast is eating the malts, and it's the whole process happening, and it's producing the alcohol and the CO2. CO2 is the byproduct.
What is that called? That process?
Well, I know it's a mash. I'm not not the mad scientist, but I don't know exactly what that's called. But it's a tremendous process to watch the beer kind of go from, you have to get the beer, you have to bring the water to a boil, and you basically break down the grains. That's when the yeast can start to, and then you just walk away from it. You literally sit it in a tank for 35 days.
So what permits does the government need to give you to do this?
It's called the TTB.
TTB.
TTB is the division of the U.S. government that basically monitors alcohol, tobacco, and firearms.
Okay.
And so everything you have to do has to be approved by them. So you have to get federal approval, and then you have to go into each state, and each state is run basically. We have 50 countries here in the U.S. I mean, the way everything is set up.
It really is.
Alcohol laws are different in every
Everywhere.
single state and stuff like that. That's the reason I launched in North Carolina. The alcohol laws are very favorable for somebody to come in here and start a small beer company,
Sure.
beverage company, which if there's wines and other stuff like that, that's just a very favorable place to start.
So
up.
if I wanted to make my own beer, take me, not me, but yourself, when you started at the very beginning, can you take me through the very beginning process? Like say I have the idea and now I know what I want to do. Take me through the steps. Like when you have this brainstorm about the brand, the company, the name, who did you partner with, why, and what does it take to get a beer like this out into the public?
Yeah, so in the past, just kind of having that experience, from a macro standpoint, working with the big boys. And then I sold a Monster for a very long time. So I got to see how different large brands were brought from nothing up to, national huge brands. And one thing that I used to remember talking is they said make sure you're buttoned up from a legal standpoint, from a standpoint of do your due diligence, because the worst thing that could happen. So what's an interesting story about this is that I was talking for years trying to get my buddies, just make a light beer, just make a light beer. And then I said, you know what? We just need an everyday light beer. And I went, everyday. And so I went, okay. So I started the process with my attorneys or all my lawyers and said, I want to come up with this instead of day-to-day, an everyday light beer. I just wanted to be easy in a bar. Hey, give me an everyday light beer. Because you got to think about it. It's crowded bars. You got to think of all the different situations. And so as we went about 2 months into the process of getting things and getting very buttoned up and doing our due diligence, we figured that it was such a crowded trademark space with so many different things that are out there that have that we had to basically start over. And I had to start over right over. And so it was, a lot of long runs and different things like that where I'm just thinking, I'm like, because what you do is you have to look at it. You got to make sure you can get websites. You can make sure that you get your intellectual properties buttoned up. You know that from the business.
Yes.
So as I'm just doing these things, I have, and I'm calling it like in all my pro formas and all my business plan, I'm just calling it light beer because I don't have a name yet. Just because it has to fill the spot of building out the business plan. So that's where I started at. I started with my pro forma. I started with a 6-year pro forma and said, can I make money in this endeavor? Can I? And that was about a 3-month process. I was consulting, so I was doing it as I was going. And then when I looked at the numbers, I was like, yeah, this could work. This could work really well. And this is even from a co-packing, which I can explain later, stance where I'm not basically using someone else's kitchen to do it.
Right. I'm very familiar with that. It's called reboxing in our industry.
Yeah.
So what happens is people manufacture the raw materials, the product, and then there's laminators and then coaters, and then certain people get a plant and they'll put it together and then distribute it and then they'll make it for you as a unique formula. So what happens in the window film industry is a lot of people will be like, oh, well, polyester is polyester, dyes are dyes, glue is glue. India, Eastman, there's probably 4 or 5 different raw manufacturers of products. And then there's probably 30 brands. And the brands are getting made out of these different manufacturers. And it's like baking a cake. One's got, 2.5 cups of sugar. One's got, a little bit of 2 eggs. One's got 1 1/4 egg. And you just kind of play with the formula until that formula is yours. And that's, I think, probably what you uniquely.
Yeah, just with our recipe, I got to say exactly what I wanted this to taste like. I wanted to say, hey, I wanted really quality ingredients in it. All the different profiles, and that's what those mad chemists can do. They can make it work.
But there's not another formula out here like this. This is uniquely yours.
Well, yeah, if who would know with the hundreds of thousands of beers out there? I'm sure there's something that's.
Is there any kind of way to patent your beer?
I don't think there would possibly be.
Like someone could copy this if they really wanted to, right?
We've been copying from the monks for thousands of years in Germany, who created beer. So, I think that there's different yeast strains, and you could probably, but it's like again, there's 4 ingredients. There's no surprise.
There's a little formula tweaking.
But I also think that's why the beer tastes very good. I think it's obviously 2.9 grams of carbs, 92 calories. 4% alcohol, so it's light. It's not, you can have a meaty IPA at 9%,
5 of
12%.
these and not be.
Yeah, and that's what I was going for. I was going for just an easy drinking, crushable lager.
So cost factor. Mm-hmm. What does a 6-pack of this beer cost?
We're selling these in 4 packs, which is
4 packs.
4 packs of 16 ounce, and eventually, I'm self-funding to this point now that I'm launched. I'm in my investor raise and everything like that. So we'll have other offerings, 12-ounce cans, 12-ounce bottles, draft, all the things that you could kind of think of when you think of the.
This is a 14-ounce can.
16-ounce cans.
This is 16.
16 ounce. It's a 16-ounce can.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't have my glasses.
1 pint.
Okay, got it.
And that's interesting. The TTB makes you put 1 pint, but if you have 12 ounces, you can put 12 ounces.
Really?
So they would say, if I didn't have that 1 pint, but I had 16 fluid ounces, they'd say, we're not approving your. Everything else is perfect. It was actually funny. We were doing this, the crew that's been helping me with the process. They said they've been doing this labels for like 14 years. They said this is the quickest label. It passed in like 6 hours. And I was like, really? I've been in the business for 30 years.
You kind of know what they're looking for.
I think we could kind of narrow in to, but the other thing I didn't want to do too is I didn't want it to be very busy. I wanted it to be very simple.
In advertising, I have a marketing degree.
Awesome.
And when I was doing advertising before I got into doing what I'm doing currently, or after, I kind of piddled around with it. I did ad agency type things. But people used to ask me, I want to wrap a vehicle. I want to, do a sign or whatever. Or they want to do a print ad. And they would want to cram a collage of shit into it. And I'm like, okay, what's your message? What's your point? What are you trying to get to? And I said, there's 3 rules of advertising, just like there's 3 rules of real estate. 3 rules of real estate is location, location, location. The 3 rules of marketing is who you are, what you do, and how to get a hold of you. That's it. Who you are, what you do, and how to get a hold of you. If your name says what you do and how to get a hold of you, you killed it. So it's very simple. Marketing needs to have a simple message.
And I also think that the fourth, I agree 100% on what you're saying.
What's the fourth?
The fourth is just, it's got to be about them. It's got to be about the person that's looking at it.
Sure.
If they don't understand and they can't connect,
it's got to make sense.
Then they're like, what?
It's got to be a connection. Got it.
One of the things that I thought was two things that we jumped on really early, and I'm loving it because I have a lot of respect for what Corona has done over the years. If you think of Corona, what's the first thing you think of?
Lime.
Second thing.
Latino.
Beach.
Oh, beach. Yeah, 1,000%.
So what they've always done.
We drink Coronas in Texas all the time at my store, and I'm not kidding. And the only reason I'm saying this is we have a store in Fort Worth, Texas, and I live there. And so when I fly back home and then I go there, we have a refrigerator full of Modelo and Corona. And I have a couple Latino guys that work there and a couple of my, American cronies, I guess you could say. We go in and they go, who's got the lime? And it's salt and lime. These dudes go crazy if they don't have lime or salt for their beers. And I'm over there like, okay. And then the Latino culture of what I'm learning in Texas is they're very loyal to those brands. Mm-hmm. They're just very loyal to them. But yes, you're right. Any commercial I've ever seen with Corona, it's always been on the beach chilling.
So I'm gonna throw this in and we can jump back to that.
Sure.
So do you know why the lime was introduced with Corona?
No idea.
Fun fact. So I learned this back in my days. This is back when they were kind of getting launched. It's Mexican beer, right? Well, Mexico doesn't have the same standards that we do here in the U.S. So what they did was, back in the day, and even Bud did it, Miller did it, everybody did it, we had returnable bottles. Basically, you'd drink the beers, and then you'd fill up the cases. They'd go back on the trucks, go back to the warehouse, then they would go back to the brewery. They'd clean the bottles. They'd refill them. They'd pop the top on them, and they'd reuse them. So you'd get them, and they'd be all like, the edges and stuff like they'd be all beat up because they've been through a bunch of cycles, and they were real thick and stuff like that. Well, in Mexico, they essentially did the same thing. They have the white bottles, and they would reuse them. They just kind of skipped the process of cleaning the bottles, and they would just bring them back in and refill them. And so what the folks down there would start doing is that they knew that the sanitary process there. So they said, you know what? Let's take a lime, because the citrus, the acid they'd put it around the edge because that's where they're going to drink it. So that's clean. And then they would also, that would keep the flies from landing on the top of their beer.
Get out of here.
And then they would take it and pop it in there, because it'd now float in the beer, and beer's got alcohol in it, so it's kind of killing it and stuff like that too. So something they used as a sanitary, for sanitary reasons, then the Americans would go out and start visiting, and they'd be like, hey, look, all these locals are putting a lime in it. So they weren't doing it for the flavor, they were doing it for sanitary reasons. And then they picked up on that. That's what they did, and they said, let's use this as a point of differentiation. And now everybody they don't even know why.
What a fun fact.
So it is. It's kind of interesting.
I'm so glad you told me that. That is cool.
But knowing that, what I've liked about Corona, they've done over the years, is they just stuck with their message. They've just said, you know what, this is our message, and we're sticking with it.
They own it.
And at the end of the day,
they own it.
That's what I'm trying to do is basically just come up with a really, and I really like where we went. So I have 2 taglines. What is your best day? Basically, what is your best day today? And for everybody, it's different. What I like about that is because I can point at you and say, and I'll ask you the question, what's your best day? Tell me what your best day would be.
I love it.
What is it?
My best day?
Your day, yeah. I'm just asking.
The gym.
Payday.
No. That's every day. I get paid every day. The going to the gym, having a great workout, and mountain biking, sitting on the back porch, grilling out, and drinking a cold beverage.
So every one of those experiences I can talk to, so Presby is hey, it's hockey day.
Right.
It's
Hockey day.
all those days that he doesn't get to play that way when he wakes up. And so what I'm sticking with is what is your best day, and then it's going to be different. So I'm constantly going to be changing up the message
Love it.
to match. So then I can localize it too.
Got it.
I can put it up on billboards and like that, and it ain't changing. And then the other one that I really love too, and I have marks on all these, trademarks on all these, is every day is a great day for a day-to-day. And so this will also be true to Day-to-Day Classic, which is going to be coming out later this year, which will be a fuller, heavier, more meaty version of this.
So as far as a run, when you do a run of beer, how many do you make at one time?
It's best way to. They all talk in barrels in that world,
and whiskey.
But I like talking cases.
Sure.
We used to break everything down to cases. About 1,000 cases would be about my run.
And that's a 4-pack.
And it's basically based on the ounces, but it'd be a case, a full case.
6 4-packs, yeah.
Like a big.
Oh, sorry. Okay, got it.
24.
24.
24, yeah.
So 24,000.
24,000 cans.
Yeah. So 24,000 cans is what you produce in a run. How long does that take to make a run of that? In a day?
Morning.
A day.
In the morning.
A day.
In the morning.
Day to day.
So they always
what's your perfect day? A run of day to day.
They're like, what's your best day? I'm like, production day. Because we're getting this stuff in cans and people can enjoy it.
So you don't have to get into real details, but just a curiosity question. A run of 24,000, what's our ballpark cost figure of something like? Because I know when I bought a barrel of Whistle Pig, and I went there and we bought on behalf of Southern Spirits, we bought like 2, and then they ended up buying another 3rd barrel. And I know the cost of what a barrel of whiskey cost in different worlds, right? So I'm just kind of getting a collaboration with you, saying, okay, well, in my mind, what is a budget of what a run would be? That's what
scale. That's why I'm working in the business right now, getting it set up and everything like that, but I'm excited to work on the business. When I'm working on the business, we'll start to scale.
Sure.
And so, I would say a run can be anywhere between 15 and 25,000, depending on cost of goods. But,
Okay.
but there's so many different factors.
Sure. That's what I needed to know.
Yeah,
A range. Like if you say,
yeah.
hey, we have a good run, cost was down, we could be close to 15, 18 grand. If you have a little higher run where something came in, it could be 20.
The bigger the vat, the better the cost. Obviously, and this is something that a lot of people don't know about too. In the brewing process, you're asking about the brewing process. I have to buy all the raw materials, and then I put them in the tank, and then that tank's only going to yield 80% of all the stuff you put in there.
Evaporate.
It's going to evaporate.
Right.
And we say that's basically everyone gets their piece. Like government gets their piece.
Right.
God gets his piece because
Yeah.
we're making sure he's happy right off the bat.
Right.
He's taking 20%, but all those costs are up front there, and then you're only going to get about an 80% yield. But that's part of the whole process of them, getting together. And they only added there's a German beer code, like a purity law, that they said to be a real true German beer, you only can have 3 ingredients. That's because they didn't understand how yeast worked. Because as prior to, so they've added that to their, and so this follows actually the German purity laws.
Okay.
As having basic, but I like just letting good ingredients get in there, do their thing, and then I think that we pour this in a glass. This has a nice golden color. It's just really.
If I was to, have you ever
satisfying.
done like Coors Light, Miller Light, Mick Ultra, and put all of them in yours and done a taste test? Have you done anything like that?
I'm not
just curious.
Yeah, you know what? I used to do that when I was at
I'm sure.
at my previous company.
Sure.
Actually, I'll tell you this, and it'll blow your mind. So I've been in the business about 30 years. I was on the marketing side between the brewery and distributors, out in the streets until I got into management and stuff like that for a good 10 years. I never lost. I used to walk into places and be like, and you talked about how they, you picked up a nickname. To this day, even though I have my own brand, I'm still Chad the Bud Guy. If somebody says, "Hey, you're Chad the Bud Guy," I'm like, "Hey, how you doing?" I'm like, "Whatever, it is
You're
what
Chad
it is."
the Bud Guy.
But I forgot
where are you from originally?
I actually was born in Cleveland, Ohio, outside of Cleveland, Ohio.
When did you move to Charlotte?
1994.
94.
92, end of 94, early 95.
Did you work in Cleveland for Anheuser-Busch?
No, I was actually here.
Here?
I was here, but then I got moved away right away because we were based out of St. Louis.
Got it.
And then they bounced me around to, I was in Raleigh, North Carolina, Virginia Beach. I was in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I was in New Orleans, Louisiana. And then in between those, it was, hey, go out to the Super Bowl for 3 weeks. Hey, go out to this. Hey,
What was your favorite place to live?
My favorite place in this,
I mean, out of being moved around St. Louis to, Charlotte,
I would probably say
New Orleans,
not Milwaukee.
New Orleans.
No, I actually couldn't wait to get out of there.
It doesn't. I've never been to New Orleans. I've been
go for like 2 days and then leave.
I hear one day.
Yeah,
I hear it stinks. It's
like Vegas. Great place to visit. Stay 3 days.
Hung over
done.
working for Budweiser and walking through the French Quarter.
Yeah.
After that was back when pagers, and it'd be like, you knew you're crazy when you're like, hey, meet me at Patou's at 3:30 in the morning. Yeah. And then it's like, okay. And then I'm like, man, I got to be up at 7.
Those are good old days.
But we had unlimited spend. We just could buy anybody beers as much as we want, pass them out. Celebrities. I'll never forget. I think it was like Shaq or somebody was driving down the street, and he was so tall that he was sticking out of the moonroof, and he's like waving at people. There's all these celebrity everywhere because we were down there for all these big events, and that's when everybody could go and kind of still have fun,
right?
Because you didn't have cell phones taking pictures and everything like that.
This is true.
It was just people having fun.
Cell phones have ruined the world.
Yeah, it was like the only thing we had was those Polaroids. You're like, yeah, look what I got.
You're going by the Eckarts on the way home to get you get double the prints, right? 50% off if you get 2 prints.
That's right.
Remember those days?
That's right.
You drop your little disposable camera off.
That's right.
Those are the fun days,
those
man.
Disposable cameras at weddings, huh?
Well, yeah, them Polaroids. Now that's coming back, right? The new Polaroids are coming back at weddings where you're taking the picture and they're instantly, and they leave them in a little thing with like a saying or writing.
So are flip phones too. You know that?
They're coming back.
Yeah, they're all coming back too.
I wish I still had my old brick Motorola. You remember the gray?
So you can work out with it?
That thing, right? Yeah, exactly. That's actually not a bad idea. Man, I could drop that thing 1,000 times and never hurt it. The plastic on it was probably a good 2 inches thick. Yeah. Now you drop an iPhone and you're buying $1,000 phone, and a week later. Yeah. Anyway, so you're launching day to day. What's the marketing strategy right now? Are you getting in distribution? I mean, you have this in stores. Where can we buy it?
Yeah, we're at about 30 places here, and it's. So basically, we have, because we were approved by the North Carolina ABC Commission, and we're able to sell anywhere in the state. Okay. Basically, the footprint is North Carolina. I'm actually starting in Charlotte because I know it so well, and so that's where we are. We're 25 in here, about 30 in the state. Aggressively, another 30 days will be about 50.
Is the partner that you have doing the distribution for you as well?
No, that'd be me. That's why I came here. That's one of the reasons. I live in Florida.
Where you living in
Florida?
Back,
Melbourne Beach.
Oh, Melbourne, beautiful.
Yeah, it's great. We moved down there about 2 years ago. My wife and I and our daughter, to be close to her mom. And then when I decided that I wanted to go this direction, I was like, I got to go back where this is home. This is where I have my.
So you go get and distribute.
Yeah, I have self-distribution rights in the state of North Carolina, so I can sell it to anywhere I want to sell it to.
What about when's South Carolina coming on?
South Carolina's laws are a little different. So, the way I look at it is this, I don't have anything. Why would anybody want to waste their time? They're so busy with everything. I used to run an 11 million case wholesaler that had 40% of the volume of the state of South Carolina. I know if I knocked on my own door, I'd be like, hey, dude, beat it. Come back when you actually have something that I want.
Right.
So I'm like, I'm not going to be that guy. So I'm just going to, I'm grassrooting it. I'm going through everything that I've done for the last 30 years to build other people's brands. I'm just following that same
blueprint.
Same blueprint, except I'm doing it on my own.
Right. On your own. Do you have investors in this now?
I'm starting to, I wanted to wait post-revenue because I think it's a better story. You go and say, hey, give me some money. And they're like, well, how long are you going to sit on my money?
You have a product. You have it out. You've got the brand. You've got the marketing. You now can. People that invest in anything want to see it. They want to touch it. They want to drink it.
Yeah. So as of Friday morning, I did the numbers. We've sold or sampled 7,000 cans of Day-to-Day Light. So we're at the point now where people.
Okay, you sold 7,000.
7,000 or sampled. I looked at the total universe of how much I had, how much I've sampled. Because the other thing too is that when you go into a place, you got if someone's going to take a chance on it, you got to give them some beer and say, hey, you want to try it?
Try it out.
If you like it, let's have a conversation. If you don't, that's fine. But, tell them, hey, this is what, if you expect some big, juicy, meaty IPA, this isn't the beer. If you want something that's light, you can sit on the boat, you can go play golf, whatever you want to do. That's where I'm going. And
when you said earlier, what is the amount of the U.S. population that drinks light beer?
Well, if it's 21 and over, and you look at it, 63% of. So I look at it from a volume standpoint, and a lot of my decisions have always been based on, let's look at data. You got to look at the other side, but the data doesn't lie. And so that's when I would tell my friends, and they'd say, well, we'll come up with a Kolsch. I'm like, do you understand the market that you're not serving by trying to make only beers that you like? It's not about always making something that you like. Don't you want to fill a market need? So what I'm doing, and I'm going to do for everything at Bernhard Terrace, is I'm going to fill market voids. If there's a place that I can go fill a void and grab an opportunity,
right,
that's where I'm going to go. I don't plan to make an IPA. There's 250,000 IPAs all over this country, and they're delicious, and I drink them all the time. But again, I'm not making beer for me. I'm making beer to satisfy a need.
Love it.
And so that's
smart
where
business.
I just, you got to take the
It's smart marketing and it's smart business because you think like a marketer. And
that's, let the data drive your decisions, what you need to do. That's
correct.
What people make a lot of mistakes and don't do that.
And you do that in your line of work.
That's all we do is data. Everything that we do is data-driven decision making. And all the biggest retailers that we deal with, we come in with the deck and they say, okay, show me the numbers. And of course, you can manipulate numbers as any way you really want to, but when it comes right down to it, you get a sharp buyer, someone that's really on their game, you're not going to be able to BS them. It's to say, hey, listen,
numbers
this is what
lie.
it is. They don't,
Right. Yep.
And they can see through a lot of it. And so that's why if you got a great story to tell, and that's why I wanted Chad to come in and talk to you about the beer and everything else, because I looked at you when we first met, and you had one shop, and you had hair, and we both did. So, and it was like, we started talking about this hunting thing and this and that, and you called me up and said, hey man, I got some land to hunt. I'm like, what? And I'm like, I was just floored. It's like, wow, you really thought of me about coming out there I said, yeah, let's go. And then, turn 15, 20 years later, it's like this is blown up into a huge business. And I look at Chad, I'm like, I love the grassroots campaign because you were like the same way. You're knocking on doors, handing out flyers.
I was putting stickers. So what I did at my first company was called Lightning Mike's Window Tinting. I was very fast at tinting windows. And in what I do for a living, I am still probably one of the fastest production
Which
tinting.
people probably love.
People want efficiency. They want in and out.
Mm-hmm.
You got to understand the world that we live in today is an impatient world. When they have an impulse or want something, they want it now. And if you don't grab that opportunity now, you're going to lose that opportunity because next day, tomorrow, they're going to spend the money they have in their pocket now on something else. So window tint is not a necessity. It's not like beer. You don't have to drink beer. It's a luxury. Mm-hmm. You're drinking beer as a luxury item. Mm-hmm. That's how I look at it.
Absolutely, it is.
Window tint is a luxury item. You can ride around in your car with no window tint. You can have your house be burning hot in the sun. Don't have to have window tint. You can go down and get some temporary blinds or some temporary shades and put on your windows. So what I did as far as grassroots marketing is I took little stickers and I would print rolls of them. And I would go to McDonald's and I would put them on the speaker. Lightning Mike's Window Tinting phone number. I would go to a gas pump, and every gas pump, I would put it right on the gas pump. And I would go just murder the gas pumps because everybody that drove a car, and everybody drove a car coming through your gas station or McDonald's or Wendy's or Starbucks or whatever. And I would just take a sticker and put it on. And then when I'd walk into a store like an AutoZone, I would take the sticker and I would put it right over the handle, right on the spot. Sure. When you open the door, it's right there. And it was Lightning Mike's Window Tinting. And I blanketed this city for years. I mean, still to this day, 20 years later, people are Lightning Mike. Man,
some of those stickers are probably out too.
They're still probably out there.
I got mine autographed. I still have it. It's in a frame.
And I just did grassroots type marketing. I would, at the freeways on Friday afternoon, I would go around the freeways on Friday afternoon at 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night. I'd spend till 8, 9 o'clock at night. I would print 100 yard signs that said window tinting and a phone number.
Yeah.
And I would go blanket every off ramp and down ramp.
And you kept it simple.
Window tinting phone number.
What it is and how I can get a hold of it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Window tinting phone number. And I would go blanket. And then on Sunday afternoons, I would ride back and go pick them all back up.
Yeah.
Because the city zoning is not out on the weekends. Because I started seeing the real estate signs out. I started seeing realtors, open house, open house, open house. I'd see these dudes in a truck just unloading.
Anything temporary, they're not going to mess with.
Correct.
But if you try and make it
Correct.
permanent, they're going to pull up.
And I had a guy at Bojangles. This was so funny. I was probably 28. I was at Lightning Mike's. It was a Saturday morning, and I had gone to Bojangles to get breakfast for my guys. I had a couple guys working for me. I went and got Bo biscuits and some cinnamon biscuits and shit. Cinnamon Twist. Those were the shit. I love those things. I haven't had them in years, but they're horrible for my body, but I love them. But anyway, I put a sticker on the speaker. And it was probably a week later, the manager, the next Saturday or whatever, calls me. Did you put a sticker? He says, this Mike? I said, yeah. He goes, did you put a sticker on my speaker? And I said, sir, we have lots of stickers that we produce for our company. We give them to kids, we give them to our employees, we give them to our family, we give them to our customers. Where they put them, I have no idea. I know that they're all over the city because I'm getting calls from people telling me that they're seeing my stickers. And the guy goes, well, I would appreciate it if you did not put stickers on my speaker. And I said, sir, I'm gonna give you a flip side to this. I said, right now in my parking lot, there are 3 Bojangles bags in my parking lot. Right now in the parking lot. So if you're gonna produce bags from your company, could you please make them in a clear bag so that way they're not littering my parking lot at my store?
That's awesome. Turn the tables right there.
He goes, well, just from now on, if you could, not put, he didn't know what to say.
Well, we used to walk around at sporting events and we'd look at all the trash cans were overflowing and you see all of our products hanging out of them. We'd be high-fiving and we'd be like, yes. And they're like, all this trash you guys give it. And I was like, what are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
They bought it at a store. I didn't bring it.
Right.
Like,
Yes, I know. But I mean, seriously, I'm almost thinking that I wanted to sponsor an event where I gave the bags away. Like if I could go to McDonald's and say, hey, every bag that is now in the local 3 McDonald's, they're going to be half Sunstoppers, half, McDonald's. They won't do that.
Well, part of what you did too was you understood your market. Obviously, you understood who was going to potentially be customers.
Right.
And you targeted them. You just didn't throw stuff out there. You weren't, going to places that, that people walk to that don't have cars.
Right.
You went to places that if you're in a drive-through, which I know this from,
I
know this from drinking beer all night and then going, if you're not in a car, they will not serve you to the drive-through. Because we try and jump up on that thing that makes it ding, and they'd be like, we can't serve you. I'm like, what? Why would you not be able to serve us?
I'm walking up. What's the difference?
They won't do that. So I'm not saying Bojangles.
Yeah. And here's the thing, gas stations, man. So here's the thing. I did this 20 years ago. So I'm on a gas pump. And 20 years ago, I looked up and there was like a little thing over here. It said 2 hot dogs. $1.50, right? And this is 20 years ago. And that's all it was for the store. Now you have TVs where you can watch at certain gas stations where you're watching an ad go. Now you're seeing trash cans being wrapped at the gas station.
We used to do that, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting here going, you're bored for 6 to 8 minutes pumping gas. You got to get out. You got to put your credit card in. You got to hit the button. You got to go open the thing, open the lid, pump, hit the button, hold the thing, and you're looking around. You're just looking around. Whatever's grabbing your attention.
Well, we had, back when I was in the marketing department, I remember we used to target urinals.
Yes.
Because there's nothing more boring than standing there taking a leak when you drank 3 or 4 beers.
All over media.
And it's like you're like a camel and you're like looking around.
Right there.
Yeah. And you put it boom right in front of you and you put the specials and stuff like that. It's amazing how much awareness you can get out of that.
Yes.
The crazy thing is that the powers that be, the big wigs, came back and said, no, you can't do that because we don't want people to associate our beer with piss.
Get the freak out of here.
I was like,
that's idiot.
You got a captive audience. What are you going to do?
You're pissing out the beer to go back and order another one.
No, we actually got that. We're like, really?
Did you keep doing it?
Sure. No, I mean, maybe. So I got. This is like an elephant in the room. I've been dying to ask this question. Do you know anybody that works at Bud Light's marketing department? No, I don't know anybody at this point.
Did you know?
Oh, I knew all the folks before.
But I'm saying
big
now,
crew.
and the media has destroyed Bud Light.
Let me just take it.
So what is going on?
Let me just
Bud
take
Light
a step
destroyed
back.
Bud Light.
Let me just say,
I want to get your. Okay, I just want to get your take on that one. Just and we'll finish up with that. What's your take on the media going crazy over that?
It's something to talk about,
Sure.
right? Any news is. When was the last time you talked about Bud Light? Any news is good news.
I agree.
And let's just talk about. I think when everything happened, I look at everything from a macro standpoint. I think they were in the $127 billion market cap area. They dropped down. I think it was like they lost $4 billion in market cap. And last I checked, they're about 130, 132. So I think they're up about $5 billion in market cap.
So they went down and then they boomed up.
They went down, and then now they're $5 billion over where they were before this whole thing came out. So what I'm telling you is, when was the last time anybody talked about Bud Light?
I agree.
And any time somebody's talking about it, it brings that awareness back. I have thousands of friends that are still at distributors and that are within the brewery. I don't know the Bud Light branding team, something like that, but good folks.
But they saw a drop for a while, and then all of a sudden now it's starting.
A couple days. No,
That was just a couple days.
It's
It was hype. It's all hype.
It's hype, and I look at it, and but you got to remember, there's tens of thousands of people that work in that industry, and
Right.
4 Anheuser-Busch alone. Was it a mistake? Hey, was it a mistake, or was it calculated? Again, I'm telling you, today we sit here, they're $5 billion over where they were prior to what they did.
So they're going to say that was a win.
I didn't say million. I said billion.
So they saw.
I don't know what they saw.
Did the
but
marketing?
Everything that we did when I was there, and these guys have evolved 10 times. They use AI and stuff like that. Everything was calculated. Everything we did was based on metrics, as Ron just said. Everything we did, we knew what would happen and the result that was going to happen if we did it. Everything. And then for me to sit there and go, oh, they just made a mistake. I don't know.
Who approved that, do you think? I mean, so tell me the channels, like in marketing, we'll wrap this up with this one. What channels, like if you have an idea and you want to submit a marketing campaign through the company, what channels, who approves it?
It would be the brand managers. Like I told you, they would kind of probably, the Bud brand team, the Bud Light brand team. So the Bud Light brand team would have come up with an idea and then rolled it up if it was big. But you got to remember, when we signed Serena Williams back, from Michelob Ultra, we sent out a formal campaign and did all these things and put her on POS, point of sale, playing tennis, and we are proud of this partnership and stuff like this. And it's like, okay, that was a formal campaign that we launched. We had brand ambassadors all over the place, and that was just part of it. And there's been hundreds, if not thousands, of brand ambassadors. And what I think is they just said, hey, let's partner. Let's say, hey, we want to do something. This is a great accomplishment. And then the powers that be, people just grabbed it and then just twisted things every which way they wanted to do it. And I think at first AB was like, whoa, this is crazy, but everyone's talking about it. Everyone's talking about it, probably globally, because they watch everything we watch. So I hate it for the folks that are having to deal with getting pounded everywhere they go, but it's unfortunate. But I don't think at the end of the day it's going to hurt the brand one bit.
You don't think so?
No. And that's, everybody's like, oh, what? I was like, no, I'm actually coming out with a light beer. All I say is, I have a wonderful light beer I'd love for people to try. And everybody wants to know my reaction. I'm like, I work there.
So if someone's looking to invest in your company, what does that get them? And what are you looking for investment-wise? Like if there's any investors listening that are looking.
Investors, just, you can reach out. It's a Bernhard Terrace. I have an investor portal on my website that you can reach me, Chad Webb.
What do you charge, again, for 4-pack?
See, if I'm gonna play in the domestic light beer category, I can't come out with some crazy craft pricing and be double the price.
Right.
So I'm line priced with.
I don't even know what line pricing. I don't buy beer.
So Bud Light, Miller Lite, Coors Light, Michelob Ultra. Well, Bud Light, Miller Lite, Coors Light. They all, if one goes up a penny, the other one goes up a penny. They all stay with each other. They're constantly with each other. And so I couldn't really say, hey, I'm gonna come out. I don't really want to talk pricing because it's the legalities, but I'll just say it's line priced with domestic beer.
So Mick Ultra, what's a line price of Mick Ultra average?
For
like a 4-pack. Do they sell 4-packs?
Yeah, they have 4-packs.
I'm just curious.
So this if you grocery store, it's going to be
a range
$7.99 to $8.99.
Okay, $7 to $8.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whereas most craft beers are between $11.99, $12.99, $13.99,
$1.70 a can.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. That's the number I was looking for.
And that's the thing is I can't go out there and tell people to go spend $15 when I'm not kidding, and Prisby will tell you.
Yeah.
You drink the whole 4-pack when you buy it.
This is true.
No,
So
it's
it's
true.
like
I mean,
you
it's
gotta-
light enough, and there's not that alcohol is going to make you worry about too much. I mean, that's what I had down at the land. I mean, it was great.
It was good. Yeah.
Pop a couple of those, and
Yeah,
you still do whatever you want to do.
The thing is, it's not something I would be going, oh my God, that's so amazing. I can't wait for another one. But if I'm on a Sunday out at the land drinking beer, I'm just popping. I'm like,
Exactly.
here you go. I'm drinking a beer.
I keep telling everybody, I was like, I'm not trying to win the Great American Beer Festival. No, I actually told the brewmaster this when he first, this, almost a year ago. I said, it just can't suck. He's like, what, you think my beer sucks? And I'm like, no, I'm just saying it can't suck because I want it to be something that people will drink and come back to. And
If somebody wants to get a hold of you again, you said it was at
Bernhard Terrace.
Bernhard.
Or Day to Day. You can go to Day to Day. There's info pages. You can go to Day
Do you
to
have
Day.
an Instagram, Facebook?
Absolutely.
TikTok?
Everything's based on the brand.
QR code on a can too. You just scan that.
Got
Yeah,
it.
you scan the QR
Cool.
code. But daytodaylate.com.
So Micah's going to do a little thing. We'll take some pictures. If you can email us over your little logo, we'll do a nice thing. And
That'd be awesome,
Yeah,
man.
we'll promote it. We'll send it out.
Mike, man, I appreciate you
No,
having me
man,
on
listen.
here. This is cool.
Hey, I enjoyed your time. I know you're in a rush. We got a little bit of a late start today. I really appreciate you coming, Chad. And what are you going to deliver some more beer here in Charlotte while you're here today?
I'm going. I'm everything. If I'm here, I'm delivering. That's right.
Beer. I love it.
I'm selling beer.
You're still
right?
hustling.
That's right.
And you're 51 years old.
Why not,
Still
man? And I'm
hustling.
having as much fun as I did 30 years ago.
I see the smile on your
when
face.
it wasn't mine. So
This is cool. Now it's yours.
Yeah.
I love it, man. Chad, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks,
I know you got to
Mike. I
wrap things
appreciate it.
up. Chad Webb and Day to Day Light. Let's have one more toast, my friend. Thanks for coming on the podcast, Ron.
Cheers.
Thanks for joining me.
Oh,
bringing
appreciate
your
you
friend.
having me
Thanks,
come on.
Ron.
It's great.
This
Thank
is
you
awesome,
guys.
man.